And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Level Up Live. I'm Dr. Sharita Gaskins Tillett. I am your host. I am also the facilitator of the Level Up Lady Doc Facebook group. If you are a lady doc and you are looking to up level your life, please join us if you are not already a member. So I'm just going to give a few minutes for others to come in. If you're watching us live, please say hello. If you are watching replay, hashtag replay. I'm really excited about tonight's guest. She's a good friend of mine, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. So come on in, get comfortable, and we will get started. So, our guest this evening is Dr. Tamara Beckford. Dr. Beckford is a board certified emergency physician, wife, and mom. She is the CEO of Your Caring Docs, where she helps companies create amazing cultures and reduce employee burnout through curated self care workshops. She also hosts the Dr. Tamara Beckford Show, where she has interviewed over 155 physicians about self care, wellness, and the fantastic things they're doing inside, and outside clinical medicine. Dr. Beckford has been a guest on dozens of podcasts and has discussed the importance of wellness on many platforms, including Power to Fly, Scale Your Business Summit, and Blaze Virtual Summit. She is also a success mentor at the EntreMD Business School, the largest school for physician entrepreneurs in the United States. Welcome, Dr. Tamara. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me on, Dr. Sharita. I'm so excited to be up with my Level Up Lady Docs.
Yes, and we're so excited to have you. So, like I said, welcome. So, tell us a
Mhm,
little bit about yourself. I know that you are an emergency physician, and I
mhm.
believe you still practice. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, I still practice full time, which some people are usually amazed, like, what? Yes, I am still a full time practicing ER physician, and I am currently here in Houston, Texas, which normally on a day like today, I'd say like it's nice and warm. But for some strange reason, we're having cold weather.
Oh
So
boy.
I know, I think just like the rest of the country on this particular day. But as you mentioned, I'm Dr. Tamara Beckford. I'm originally from Jamaica, which I
Yes, my
am,
favorite
yes.
place.
And I was super excited to watch the episode where you were in Jamaica celebrating a wonderful, wonderful milestone event. So of course I was very like, elated watching all the beautiful scenery. I moved to the United States when my parents, immigrated to the US. I was around 11, 12 years of age, lived in the Northeast at that time in New Jersey. And in New Jersey is where I essentially grew up. So, did the puberty, did the teen years, did the trying to figure out what you want to do with your life years. And that's where I got actually introduced to medicine through programs that were dedicated to helping minority students to expose them to the health careers. So, ironically, I started doing some of those summer programs in the 90s. And to come around full circle, the program where I got introduced and actually saw, like, who a doctor was, was shadowing a doctor for the first time in my life at the age, I think it was like 14 years of age. That ended up being the school where I attended
Oh,
medical
wow.
school. Yes. So it really leads to what we talk about, what you see, then
Right.
you can achieve once your eyes are exposed to the possibilities of what's out there. So I attended medical school in Newark, New Jersey. At that time, it was called the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, but now it's called Rutgers New Jersey Medical School. And talking about coming around full circle, my brother is now also a student at the same
Wow.
school where so let's talk about generational building,
Right.
just from exposure. From there, I went to Philadelphia to do my training. and I trained at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, and that's where I did my training in emergency medicine. From there, I moved to Houston, Texas, and you're probably wondering, people always ask, like, why did you move from
Right. The
Philly?
East
And
to
I
Texas,
said, yes, absolutely. And I said, think about the weather. I'm from Jamaica.
right? Okay.
It's yes, during that time we were having multiple snowstorms. It was exciting coming from Jamaica to see snow the first time back when I was,
Yes.
preteens. But then
But
after a
it got
while,
old quickly.
I got old. So since then, I've lived here in Houston and I've been practicing emergency medicine since. So that's the story.
Well, I bet you've been busy over these last few years, given the pandemic and now,
Absolutely.
the RSV and everything that's going on. So
Yes.
God bless you. Um, so tell us about your caring docs. What is your caring docs, and how does that figure in for an emergency medicine physician?
Absolutely. So your Curing Docs is a business that I've started. It started actually birthed during the pandemic, where a lot of us, started to realize that there is more that we have to offer in our lives. The pandemic was a time, I wouldn't say was, because we are still going
Right,
through it. We
sure.
haven't been officially taken out. But the beginning portion was a time of a lot of self-reflection, when you sat and realized that there was more to you than what you have accomplished at that time
Yeah.
in your life. And people often look and they'll probably say, well, you're a doctor, you've already did it. A lot of us who got to the stage where we finished med school, we finished our training, and we're practicing medicine, we thought that that was going to be it.
Yes.
And after years of practicing, we realized, like, wow, there's still more to me, and I have more gifts to give to this world. So during that time, you reflect and you try to figure out what it was. And that time, your Karen Docs was birthed. And I tried to decide, like, I know that it's birthed out of helping, it's helping others, it's helping to build and to uplift. But the way and the mode of doing it changed throughout the years. So
Okay.
initially, I thought I was going to do it through telemedicine. And because I said, well, what is the gift that I have? And at that time, my mind said, well, your gift is medicine,
Okay.
so and emergency medicine, and being able to take care of people, making them feel comfortable in a very quick way. And also, I recognize that a lot of people needed help with issues that arise in the nighttime. I'm a nocturnist, so I work only at night. And I thought, okay, well, maybe if I help, these people at nighttime,
Sure.
then we could save them money. They can do this from the comfort of their home. But as you sit and you decide, whenever you're doing a business, first start with your why. And the deep why is helping others, but also I wanted to be able to build something for my family. And I
Sure.
have two young boys. At the beginning of the pandemic, my youngest was a year and a half. So once I realized I'm building this business, but the mode in which it was built, I had to keep closing the door on them. Like, I couldn't have them around me because, of course, this is personal,
Sure.
private issues with people, and their HIPAA and all of the privacy concerns. Then I realized, okay, this is not the business that I want, because I'm doing the opposite of what I want. I wanted to be
Sure.
there, but I'm excluding them. So we moved towards, I still want to help. So how is it that I help? I decided to start doing wellness. And with the wellness, I realized that, okay, self-care is such an important aspect of
Absolutely.
wellness. Yeah. So if initially I dedicated my wellness and self-care to just women, and then I took a step back and realized, like, wow, as I look around, there are a lot of organizations and companies that are dealing with burnout.
Yeah, especially now.
Exactly. And when we look at the trajectory, like, over like 28% of the world, according to the World Health Organization, has an increase in anxiety. And a lot of this is stemmed from the pandemic.
Sure.
So people entered into the pandemic, and, this is something that no one has ever experienced. So we couldn't draw from the prior oh, well, the pandemic of, no, the last pandemic was the Spanish flu, and everyone who was alive then is like at least
Yeah, most people.
99.99999 are gone. So we don't have anything to pull from. So when we look at the workers, employees, they're burnt out, number one, they're panicking. A lot of people have not recovered, so they have to take a lot of mental health days off, to try to really decide, what am I doing with my life? So when you look at burnout and then you look at even depression, burnout and depression, they're not the same, but they're similar. One can
Sure.
lead to another one. And as I said, my purpose in my life, right? I'm an emergency physician. I see the end results when
Yeah.
someone is not taken care of from the beginning. So my mission now is really to help these organizations, help these companies to reduce burnout. And it's still through the wellness, it's still through self care. Because if I can do that through my business, then I can reduce seeing these people, these individuals, when they're coming into the emergency
Right.
department because they're suicidal or they've already attempted suicide. And then I have to, pull and them from that end. So it's a preventative measure, but it's an overall mission, and it still works with all that I do because I see the end and I'm saying, okay, well, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of
Sure.
cure. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now what services do you offer to these companies?
So I offer speaking and also workshops. So workshops, 1 hour workshops up to 3 hours, where what we'll do is really discuss what is burnout and how can we prevent it, and then individualize these workshops to the employees themselves, right? So there are three aspects when you really think about it. You have your work, you have your personal, and then you have like your home life.
Yeah.
If you're taught ways how to incorporate self-care and taught ways how to with techniques to reduce stress, and you're taught how to do it with your work life, then you can transcend that into personal and then also your home, because we all have ways that at work there are always stressors, and your work is a part of not just a way for you, it's an environment, but it also produces your economic good, right? So that's your economic, your finances, so that you can have the life and that you want to live with your family. So for you to be so burnt out that you're not going to work and then not able to produce, finances is another it's
Yeah.
another part of the wheel of life
Sure.
that will increase your stress. So if you learn techniques how to reduce your stress levels at work so that you can produce, so that you are in an environment where you're feeling happy and you feel that you belong and that your mission in your life is working, then that's good. Now, your personal portion of your life, that you were someone before you became this employee, right? You had goals, you had aspirations, you had hobbies, there are things that you liked to do. But in this entity called life, a lot of times we lose some of that passion. So diving back and finding ways to connect with that is important to the person overall, because then you have something outside of work that you look forward to.
Yes.
And we know that that also produces a great sense of well being and goal achievement. And then you also have your family. So, what is it that is your time with your family? Are you spending enough time? Are you guilt ridden because you are unable to spend enough time? Or do you think that you're unable? So, we'll teach you ways and where you can connect with your family in short periods of time, but it's meaningful short periods of time where you are fulfilled, your family is fulfilled. And if you think about it overall, now you've completed that circle. You have your work life balance, you have your personal life, and then your family life. And I think that that will lead to employee satisfaction, retention, and of course, reduction of burnout.
So how long is your program? Because that sounds pretty in depth and involved.
Mhm.
So, is it a series of workshops? Because, realistically, I don't see how you can, make all of those changes in a one day.
Absolutely. So the one day would be the introduction. And
Okay.
then, yeah, so it is introducing these aspects in your lives. And then, if you would and you like what's going on, then absolutely, then we can sign on for 6 months, which we'll meet every month in order to see what is the progression and ways to troubleshoot anything that's going on in your life.
Okay, that's really interesting. So,
Mhm.
what have you found to be most effective so far for the companies you've served?
Okay, so in when you're saying most effective, which one of the
I
techniques?
guess yeah. Which one of your techniques have been most effective?
I think the technique, ironically, when the feedback that I've received, especially after presenting all of this, is that a lot of people, the work life, the personal life or family life balance is the part that's been really highlighted. And that they recognize, like we talk about mindfulness and about time bending. So
Yeah.
time bending, is when you are able to expand on the limited time that you have through just focusing on that person, on the task that at hand. So using time bending for family time has been one of the best portions of this because it brings a fulfillment. Because a lot of guilt that occurs with those who are working hard, you're working hard, the reason you're working hard is usually not just for you but for your family in some
Yes.
respect. So when you're being pulled away from the family consistently and you're not able to spend the time with them, then it all seems for naught, right? But when you're able to spend that quality time, albeit it's 20 minutes of just intense time with that family, and realizing those 20 minutes can feel like 2 hours because
Okay.
taken you have taken the steps to not be distracted by emails, cell phones, anything, but you're just really dedicating that time to that family, that has made a tremendous impact on the people. So with that, we realize that now your home life is now in aligned with your work life, and therefore it all makes sense. And so it feels a sense of fulfillment. And of course, if you are happy at home and you're happy at work, then overall your likelihood of being burnt out is reduced.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. So, do
Mhm.
you find that companies are very receptive to this concept?
I think that it's coming around. The thought is there, and they're saying, yes, this makes sense. So I've done the workshops at a couple of the companies, but I'm obviously here because I want to continue. I think this is something that is not thought about as much because we're thinking, like, okay, well, my employees are burnt out, but I don't know what to do about it. But the statistics out there, they said, like, almost like a third of employees, they want to discuss these mental health issues. They want to learn these techniques. They want to learn it because they feel that, what, if I learn these techniques on how to reduce my stress, I can become a little bit more resilient. I can learn how to handle when tasks come my way and unexpected changes occur at work. I can be a better employee. And the statistics out there that they want these tasks. So employers, I think at times are trying to find ways, but they don't realize, like, listen, your employees, they're talking and they're talking that they want to learn these techniques. So it's a newer age now. It's not the same age as the pre-pandemic where the
Yeah.
thought process on how to build and to keep the employees in the organization. Let's throw money at them, give them more money, give them more bonuses. Realizing, like, finances is important, but a lot of time peace of mind is even now more important to the employees.
Right. And also, I would think that companies would, if they're paying attention, that they would see the long game in this.
Absolutely.
That, if employees are happier, if they're less burned out, they're more likely to stay. And so then
Absolutely.
there would be a cost saving in terms of employee turnover, um,
Mm-hmm.
probably increase in job satisfaction, and probably
Yes.
even the quality of the job. And
And
so
their productivity.
yeah. So it seems like it would be a good idea for them to
Absolutely.
invest in their employees on the front end so that
Mm-hmm.
they, that it would, they would have a really good return on their investment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, you know, the other statistics out there, like financially, it makes sense, as you're saying, because the job turnover, it takes approximately 40 days for you to get a new employee. So that's 40 days where you're losing work, or you have piled up the work from one person now onto another person. You can see that ripple
You're
effect.
increasing their burnout.
Exactly. So we see that ripple effect. And it also shows that, you know, it's approximately like $11,000 to to switch out an employee, because you have the 4,000 in recruiting, you know, you have onboarding, you have time. So from one employee leaving to another one, you have that 40-day span. Plus you also have the additional 11,000 that you're having to pay because you lost an employee and again, you know, you're having to start over. So it really makes sense for us to retain these great employees and to help them with the wellness, because we said the pandemic has changed a lot of what's going on, and it's changed a lot of the mindset of the people, and they've recognized that what really is important is more peace of mind and
Yes.
wellness and happiness overall at the expense of other things, such as only increased financial gain.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know a lot of people, have they what do they call it? The Great Resignation.
Yes.
A lot of people realize that there are other ways to make money, and
Hmm.
their lifestyle is more important to them. I know a lot of companies went virtual during the
Hmm.
pandemic, and some have remained virtual or have a
Hmm.
hybrid option. But I actually heard this week, and I don't know if it was a rumor or if it was true, that Elon Musk has decided that Twitter employees have to come in person. So, I
Hmm.
mean, that does not seem to be congruent with what people want,
Hmm.
in
Right.
terms of that balance, because I think having the flexibility to be at home and be around your family but still get your work done. I think the pandemic showed that that was possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And ironically, that same statistic, that 11,000, it's 11,500 of the replacement of the employee, it's also the same amount that companies are saving by having that hybrid model. So they're saving $11,000 by
Per
having a
employee?
hybrid per employee. So
Over what time period?
well, that statistics was done during the return to work period.
I see.
So it says that, yeah, that in having an employee like, you know, work halfway, half at home and half in the office, which is the hybrid model, you're able to save. Companies have been able to save up to 11,500 per employee. And I say, well, you know, look at your organization, look at your company. Is it worth having to have the person mandatory come into the office and then them being burnt out or having this external stress and them leaving, and you're now having to pay 11,500 to get a new employee, or using the statistics in the hybrid model if it works for you and being able to save 11,000 per employee?
So now, do you work just with corporate entities, or we're talking to lady docs? So do you
Mhm.
um, work with private practices as well?
Yes. So I work with private practice, corporate employees, small to medium businesses, because I realized that when we really think about this model and being able to effect change, sometimes it's good to be able to do it on a large scale, but then sometimes we have those who are on the medium level. If you have a practice and say you have four of your other physicians, you have four of the physicians in your practice, and you have a staff. This is something that's important because you are working consistently. You're having to handle, you know, front desk, you're having to handle insurance. You know, there's so many times when you're on the phone, and you can see how the level of frustration can build up and cause you to mentally decide that, like, you know, this is no longer a way that I want to be. And you're start to notice changes, and the changes with burnout usually start to affect the way you feel about the work that you're doing. You don't feel as if you're producing great work, and you can see how that mentally starts to bring you down. So yes, small to medium practices, it's something that I love to do workshops for them to help, even to start. And then, like I said, if you feel like this is effective and you want to come on board for a period of time to really have that change within that company, yes, I'm here. So, corporate, small businesses, I'm available to help them.
Do you do any I guess work on the level of making suggestion to the companies for ways
Mhm.
to improve employee morale, if you will. So beyond the workshop, it sounds like the workshop focuses mostly on the employee and their internal work. So I
Mhm.
guess I'm asking if you do, if you work on the other side of it. So, if you notice some practices that are maybe contributing to burnout, that you might suggest that they consider doing things a different way.
Well, I have not done flow analysis of practices. No, that's not a part of the
Okay.
scope. But yeah, yeah, that would be a little bit outside if I am here and I see something. But then
Okay.
what I feel the challenge is with that is that one would need to be there on a consistent basis to
Yes.
really see. Yeah. So a one-time flow analysis and seeing how that works, it might be more detrimental for me to make a
Sure.
decision and to give my based on just that. So I think that portion is not a part that I've done in my organization.
Okay. So now, who is your ideal client?
So my ideal client is an employer who you're noticing that your employees are starting to get frustrated, they're burned out, the productivity is dropping. You are sitting here, you want to help. You know that you want to keep your business mission driven and mission driven and where everyone is on board. So this is not just about throwing money at the employees, but their hearts are in it. You see that it's the burnout is destroying them personally, it's just destroying their family, and you want to keep that healthy environment. So I'm here to help you. We know that self-care is important. Sometimes this is something that we put on the back burner, but self-care and techniques, just very small techniques, can really help to make a big impact. And I do have a proprietary technique which I call the pause technique, which is what I use in helping these organizations. So the pause technique is really P is literally to pause, A to acknowledge the stressor that's around. You understand how that stressor is affecting you. Are you having palpitations? Are you having tension headaches? Are you noticing that you're having tension in your shoulders, back aches? Are you starting to become angry quickly? Are you snapping at your loved ones? Are you snapping at work? Has your personality changed overall? Understand how is this stressor affecting you. S, set a self-care goal. So using one of the different techniques in self-care, is it mindfulness, is it yoga, is it stepping away, is it breathing, is it meditating? Using some of these self-care techniques, set a goal to incorporate it, and then execute that goal. So do something about it that minute. Within 2 minutes, you can break that cycle of stress that's increasing within your mind and also within that environment. So you can break that cycle within 2 minutes by using this goal and using that pause technique so that you can go about your day. So you'll be more effective and you'll respond to your stressors versus reacting to it.
So it really does involve being self-aware.
Absolutely.
If you're talking about noticing how it's affecting you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we know we all get there when you're just like, you're snapping. Someone's asking you a question, you're snapping, you're snapping. There's something going on. I need to break this cycle because we don't want to continue in that phase because we know that it's harmful. It's harmful in many ways. So
Right.
not just for your body, but for the relationships that you're building around you.
Sure. But you bring up a good point about the stress, because we
Mhm.
know as physicians, we know that stress can impact every organ system in your body. And
Absolutely.
so, again, for employers, this would be really beneficial to them because if your employees are dealing with too much stress, they're more likely to be ill and more
Hmm.
likely to miss work or more likely
Absolutely.
to need to be out on disability. So,
Hmm.
again, more advantages for employers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I feel so passionate about teaching these techniques and about this workshop. So, in the at the beginning we talked about, like, my why and one of my reasoning for doing this. If I can show these powerful, and they're very small but powerful techniques to your team at the beginning when they're learning this and they can incorporate it in their lives, then we can help to prevent the end results
Sure.
if it's not done, which we talk about, which is the increased stress, the burnout, which leads to the depression, the substance abuse, which, the life changing decisions, the
Yes.
negative decisions. And then, I'll see them at the other end. And I'll tell you a story as to one of the reasons to why this is so important. Like within the IT industry right now, burnout is very, very high in the IT industry. It's like almost 70 something percent
Hmm.
of people who are just really experiencing a lot of burnout.
Do they know why that is?
I think it's the increase of demand. If we look in IT, we're in everything.
Yes, that's true. Everything's virtual.
Everything involves, yeah, it's
Yeah.
virtual and people want things done now. If we really think about even our personality, if we try to get on internet, like, why did it not work right now?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So they're dealing with and handling a lot of stressors. Now in the emergency department, I recall a night when there was a gentleman who came in, and he came in under a for psych evaluation. And the sad part about this is that when he came in, it was noted that he was having a lot of stress at work. He worked in IT. He was feeling a lot of stress. And then that stress because he couldn't figure out, I guess, whatever particular thing. I don't know if he started to perseverate on that particular whatever
True.
challenges he was having at work, but then he started to turn to substance abuse. And then he lost his relationship with his fiance, and therefore he was now living with his brother and his brother's family. And his brother's family heard him one day, and luckily they heard him, in his bout of depression, saying, "Man, I'm just going to get a gun and kill myself." And
Mm.
so they saw him leaving, and then they got him because he was heading to the store to just get a gun to end it all. And so this gentleman was brought to the emergency department where we, helped him to get in contact with the psychiatric services so that he can get the help that he need. When you look at all this and you look back and you track it, a lot of work stress, like we said, burnout can lead to the depression. This is something that I believe now with this particular individual, we never know what would have happened if he learned some of these techniques, if these learning how to handle stress at work, if that might have changed the trajectory of his life at that
Right.
point. And that's why I believe it's just so important, because these stressors, little by little, they affect us. They affect our how we change. They affect the mood that we're in and the decisions that we make. And some of these decisions can be lasting decisions. So if we're taught how to handle these stressors, then we can probably change the decisions to positive
Yeah.
decisions and not negatively impact the rest of our lives.
Yeah. So that definitely underscores the importance of being supportive of your employees and, really everybody,
Absolutely.
because, you never know what anyone's dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is
So,
a wonderful service that you're offering. If you are a business owner, check out Dr. Tamara. I'm going to put all of her contact information in the comments.
mhm,
So, Dr. Tamara, I have one last question, which I generally ask everybody. If
mhm,
you're speaking to a business owner who wants to up level their employee wellness program,
mhm.
what is the most important thing, the what thing is going to give them the biggest bang for their buck, if you will?
To uplevel their employee wellness program, I think that one often underlooked thing. It's really the human touch. And
Mm,
when I say the touch, it's not the physical touch, but it really is the impact on that person. If we really think, even just saying and finding out how that person is doing, how you can help outside of the work, it's so important, right? Because human beings are goal driven beings, and there are other impact that we have that we want to make within our lives, but we are probably not asked about that,
yeah,
so
yeah,
even just stopping by, the employees, saying hi, taking a few minutes, 2 minutes to just say, how is it going, how is life with, and that personal touch, right? Because
yeah,
now I know you. Like, how is their family doing? How was that? The last time we spoke, you were telling me that your daughter was getting that award. How is she doing
yeah,
now? How, just those personal touches that makes them feel that they are a part of something greater than themselves, and that the organization, the company, believes in them as a person, and they don't just look at them as a numbered employee that's here to just get me an additional buck. So
yeah.
I think that
That's
that's the way.
Yeah, that sounds huge.
Mhm.
To show that you value the employee.
Employees, absolutely.
That goes a long way in making people want to, or encouraging people to want to do a good job. If they feel like you're right. If they feel like they're a part of something bigger, if they feel like
Mhm.
I have a term that I use: honoring your personhood. It honors their
Ooh, I
person.
like that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It honors their personhood. I love it.
So, and that's why I say it's important for us as individuals to honor our personhood. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because sometimes we
Absolutely.
overlook that too.
Yes, we do.
So thank you very much for coming on this evening.
Mhm.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. So
Absolutely.
to all the lady docs out there, we will see you next week. Just a reminder, registration is still open for a weekend for me,
Mhm.
which is our self-care and wellness retreat that will be held in Cambridge, Maryland, March 24th through 26th, 2023. Information can be found at www.aweekendforme.com. Thank you so much, Dr. Tamara.
Thank you for having me, and bye all my level up lady docs.
Take care. Good night, guys.